We have fire. It's burning down pretty good now. Just wasted all this time and effort. Let's give this another shot. Hello, welcome back to another episode from Pale Horse Survival and Tactical. I'm Bill, glad you could join me. Today we're going to take a look at manzanita. Stay tuned. Manzanita is found in the western part of the United States. It is a native botanical. The genus that it belongs to is Arctostophilus. And the family is Ericaceae. The Arbutus unido, the strawberry tree, is also in the Ericaceae family. And it's found in California. Manzanita is found in California, Mexico, Oregon, state of Washington, southern British Columbia, Colorado, Idaho, and on down through Nevada and parts of New Mexico and Arizona. The edible part of the plant is the berries, and this one here is just covered. And the time to harvest is in the fall, when the berries turn red. Right now they're green. A manzanita is a Spanish word for little apple, and these look like little apples, very similar to Granny Smith apples. Right now, being green, they're very sour. They have a high tannin content, so they're sour and bitter. As they ripen, they should be ready to harvest in about, I figure probably 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. The tannins and will lessen, and the sugars will increase, and they'll get kind of a tart sweet flavor to them. The native people used to make a beverage out of these, which when these are ripe, I'm going to harvest a couple of bags of these berries. I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. And the red berries, once they turn red, you can crush them, let them sun dry or air dry, and they become shelf stable. They'll store, as long as they're kept dry out of humidity and moisture, they'll store pretty well on the shelf for a good year and a half or so. The sweetness of the berry will begin to diminish the older it gets as it's stored, but it'll still be edible. And you can use that as a sweetener. You can put it in whatever you're cooking. You can also make a beverage out of it. The beverage is it's kind of a cross between Gatorade and apple cider. It's actually not too bad. It has a lot of carbohydrates, good pick-me-up, energy boost, and a thirst quencher. So manzanita, there's many different varieties of manzanita. Some are very low growing, and then others get almost as tall as trees, up to 12-15 foot or so in height. This is a standard common manzanita. You can always tell by the bark with manzanita. It always has that deep red. There's a lot of tannins in that bark, and a lot of tannins in these leaves here. The leaves are thick and leathery feeling. You can make walking sticks out of these. Native Americans would make pipes. The wood burns very hot, similar to oak. It can actually get so hot it'll melt aluminum cookware. You have to be very careful with it. But it does make a very good firewood. You can see the oval-shaped leaves, and there are no serrations on these whatsoever. These are very thick leaves. So the next part of the video is when these are ripe. I'll go ahead and finish the video. It'll be probably another 3 weeks or so before these are ready to harvest. And I'll harvest some, and then we'll do a video on how to preserve them, how to dry and grind the berries into a powder, and how to make a beverage out of a cider out of the berries, and also out of the seeds. There's a seed inside each of these, and you can simmer the seeds, and we'll also make a very flavorful cider. A little hard to do with one hand here. See if I can get this thing. It's a pretty good sized seed on the inside. There, I got a significant portion of it uncovered there that you can see. That's one big seed on the inside there. Bears love the berries, deer, squirrels, a lot of birds. So when you harvest these, you want to kind of look at them, make sure they haven't been picked at. These look like they're in pretty good shape. And there's some more over here. There's a lot of manzanita out here. It usually grows in huge patches. And sometimes the groves are huge and very thick. You can't even get through them. They become very dense. You can see these berries here are just starting. They're not as green, so they're just starting to get that in the sun there. Get that slight reddish coloration to it. Here's some more over here. You can see all the berries back in here. There's a lot of them. These are just starting to turn slightly. Here's, it's all over out here. Tons of manzanita. This is all manzanita out here. Here's another one that's just covered in berries. This one has a real heavy yield here. And these aren't as green. They're still green, but they're just starting to turn, so it'll be a little while. Another 2 or 3 weeks probably. These are starting to turn here. Hey, welcome back. It's been about 2 weeks since I was here, and I went ahead and harvested some berries. And I'm going to make the beverage out of berries that have just a little bit of red, just a hint of red. They're still going to be a bit tart, but I like the tartness in the beverage, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and harvest these now. Now, when you go through and you harvest the berries, you want to look at each berry, and you're going to find some that have little holes in these. These have been bored into by insects. I would avoid those. So just kind of look them over, make sure the berry looks healthy. Here's another good example right here. You can see that hole. So just kind of harvest the berries, look at them, anything with a hole, if they look like they just don't look healthy, just discard them. And this is what a healthy berry should look like. It's nice and clean. And here's a red one. This will be sweeter. You can kind of mix them. Red, the berries at this stage along with the red. It's all personal choice whether you want it sweet or tart. And it's not a real sweet flavor from the red ones, but it's sweeter than the green berries. So what we're going to do here is, I have a nesting cup here from my canteen, and what we're going to do, we're just going to lightly mash the berries just to open them up. We're going to toss the berries in, seeds and all, into the cup. I didn't harvest very many, so I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. I'm just using the pommel of my knife. You can use a stone or whatever you have handy to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up, and then we'll move to the next phase of this this video. Stay tuned. I will be back. Okay, so this is what we have. I just lightly mash the berries to open them up. There's a fire restriction in place, so everything's so dry. So I'm going to use, camp stoves are permitted. So go ahead and use my little alcohol stove here. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes, so I'm just making a very small batch. The ratio should be approximately 1/4 berries to 1 part berries to 3 parts water. So that's basically what we have here. So it's not very much. I'll go ahead and get this to sit on here. Set up for this, but see if we can make it work. Do this without torching myself. Should have had this adjusted before I got that thing lit. There we go. Hopefully the wind doesn't blow this out. So what I'm going to do is we're going to bring this up to a good simmer, and I'm going to let it simmer for about, oh, you can simmer it for half hour, 20 minutes, half hour, and then cut the fire and then let it steep. You can steep it for a half hour or an hour. Some sources say overnight. That's just going to impart more flavor into the beverage. but I'm not going to let it go that long. I don't have time, so I'll let it simmer for probably about 20 minutes or so. Okay, I had a little mishap. The nesting cup flipped off this, and I lost a few berries, but not very many. So I went ahead and readjusted the little tines at the top, and I think we're doing okay now. So I'm going to go ahead and let this do its thing for a while. I'm going to let it simmer for about a good 20 minutes or so, and then as soon as it cools down enough to give it the taste test, then I'll return. So stay tuned. I will be back. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes, and these things have been simmering along pretty good here. Simmering, rather. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the cup off. Let these steep off to the side and cool down. Cut the fire here. And once those are cool enough, I'll go ahead and decanter that off into a cup and give it the taste test. So stay tuned, I will be back. Okay, it's been a little while. This should be cooled down. Let's go ahead and pour this off into the cup here. This is what we have. Bear with me, my allergies are absolutely kicking my butt again. Everything's so dry and dusty this time of the year. We need a rain. And there's some forest fires in a few locations, and there's a lot of smoke in the air and everything, so it's just, yeah, my allergies really flared up. Anyway, let's give this a try here. That tastes very similar to, it's like apple cider, but a little more tart. It's actually not bad. It's a very interesting taste. Now the red berries, as they turn red, they dry. So with the moisture gone, they tend to keep longer. You can harvest berries without holes, lay them out on something in the sun and let them dry. Or if you want to peel the seeds out or whatever, you can do it that way if you just want the fruit, the rind. And once they're dry, they'll keep up to about a year or longer, as long as they're kept away from moisture. They're sweeter. This is a little more tart because I prefer the tart flavor. But you can mix the red with the green or whatever, adjust the flavor to your taste. The red will give you a little more sweetness. But if you store those dried red berries, the sweetness will diminish over time. Still edible, but you can grind with the seeds out. You can grind the dry fruit into a powder. You can use that for beverages. You can use it for seasoning or whatever you want to use it for. And but other than that, that's the manzanita berries, and they're not too bad. Manzanita is very prevalent out here in California. Grows all over the place, and the other states that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, so it's not really hard to find. Maybe in some locales, but up in my area where I go, it's all over the place. There's huge groves of manzanita. I mean, so thick you can't even walk through it, so they're berries for days. but it's actually not bad. Native people used to make the same type of beverage out of the berries. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it. Please like, subscribe, and share. I want to wave a quick hand at my new subscribers. Glad to have you here. I'm going into fall. My work schedule gets very crazy, so my filming schedule, there's probably be large gaps between it as we get into fall and winter. So I'm going to shoot video whenever I'm able to. And this area that I'm in right here is typically buried underneath a lot of snow, so I'm not able to get up in this area. So anyways, hope all of you are having an outstanding day or night, depending on where you're located, and I will see all of you very soon on the next one. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.